Let me hit you with the truth that most guys don't want to hear. If you're not magnetic, it's not because you're ugly. It's not because you're awkward. It's not because you're unlucky. It's because you've rejected the very energy that makes people drawn to you. You've been taught to be all push, to lead, to act, to pursue, to be strong, decisive, forward. But nobody told you that magnetism lives in the pull, in the feminine. And if you can't tap into both, you will keep chasing instead of attracting. You can't be magnetic if you're only living in the masculine, and 99% of guys are. Let's break this down. Masculine energy is the push, it's the active, it's penetrating, it initiates, it moves forward. It's about purpose, structure, drive, it gives. And we need that. Every man needs that. That's your fire, your forward movement, your I'm coming forward, I want energy. But here's the part that most men don't get. Masculine push alone doesn't make you magnetic. Feminine energy is the pull. It's receptive. It allows. It draws in. It seduces. It attracts. It receives. That's your mystery. That's your allure. That's your intuition. That's your emotional depth. That's what makes someone want to come closer even without you saying a word. Think about the most magnetic person you ever met. They weren't the loudest in the room. They didn't force themselves on people. They didn't try hard. They radiated. You were drawn to them. That's feminine energy at work. It's the pull. They knew how to hold space, to be fully present, to receive attention without scrambling for it, to say more with the glance than most men say in a whole conversation. And because they were also grounded in their masculine, they had both the power to lead and the energy to attract. That's the formula: push and pull, masculine and feminine, fire and magnetism. Most guys aren't magnetic because they're stuck in the wounded masculine. All push, all chase, all doing, no pull, no mystery, no magnetism. They think that being masculine, being robotic. They shut off their emotional body, their softness, their sensuality, their ability to connect. And look, I get it. I've lived it. I grew up in a military household. My dad is a Marine. So you can imagine what the message was about being emotional. If you cried, you're weak. If you got hurt, it was go walk it off. There was no space there to be soft. There wasn't room for sensitivity or feeling vulnerable. So I learned early to, armor up, to stay in control, to just push through, to never let anybody see weakness. And yeah, it made me strong in a certain way, but it also left me numb, disconnected, craving love but pushing it away, desperate to be seen but afraid to be truly known. That's what wounded masculine energy does. It keeps you performing instead of connecting. It keeps you chasing love but feeling empty when you finally get it. It keeps you stuck in your head and out of your heart. And the scariest part is that you think that's just who you are, but it's not. It's who you became to survive. Now it's time to become who you were meant to be to thrive. Let's talk real for a second, especially if you're a gay man. Most of us grew up with that message that being feminine was dangerous, that it made you weak, soft, less of a man. So you learn to avoid it at all costs. But here's what nobody tells you: feminine energy has nothing to do with how you look, it has everything to do with how you receive, how you magnetize, how you allow life, love, and desire to come to you without chasing or performing. That's the part that most men, gay or straight, are terrified of because it requires vulnerability. It requires surrender. It requires being seen, not for how sharp your jawline is or how good you perform in bed, but for who you actually are underneath the armor. And let me say this straight up: the best man in bed, the one who truly ravishes his partner, who creates deep, unforgettable connection, is the one who's in touch with his feminine energy because the intuition is in the feminine. The feminine can feel without needing words. It can sense, oh, he just relaxed into that. He loves that. Let me do that more. Or, he just tensed up. He's not into that. Let me shift away from doing it. That kind of awareness doesn't come from technique. It doesn't come from porn. It doesn't come from trying to impress or perform. It comes from presence. It comes from being attuned. It comes from receiving your partner's energy and signals in real time. And that's the feminine in action. That's what makes you unforgettable, magnetic, desired, not just for your body, but for your energy. If you're rejecting your feminine because you don't want to, look weak, or if you're trying to be magnetic without ever learning how to truly receive, you're missing the real power. True feminine energy is not weak. It's not theatrical. It's not fake. It's primal. It's magnetic. It's the force that pulls kingdoms to its knees and makes heart race without even lifting a finger. You want to be magnetic? You got to go deeper than just image. You got to stop performing and start embodying. That's where the power lives. Masculine power is direction, purpose, penetration. You walk into a room and you own your presence. You speak with clarity. You move with intention. But feminine power, that's the kind of power that doesn't need anything to command attention. It's the smirk, the stillness, the surrender. It's the unspoken, I know who I am and I don't need to prove it. That's where magnetism lives, not in forcing attraction, but becoming the kind of man who naturally pulls it in. So how do you unlock this in yourself? Here's what I teach inside Magnetic as Fuck. First, we reclaim the push. Reconnect to your masculine edge, your purpose, your power, your pursuit. You don't need to shrink to be loved. You lead, you move forward, you direct your life with precision, but then you awaken the pull. And this is where most men need work. Reconnect to your body and your emotions. Learn to feel, not just think. Be present without trying to impress. Breathe, receive, seduce with your stillness. Trust your intuition. Create space for connection, not just performance. And then balance them. You become a magnet when you move with fire and flow like water. When you pursue with confidence and you receive with power. When your presence speaks louder than your words. This doesn't just apply to dating, it transforms your entire vibe. In relationship, too much push and you're controlling or overwhelming. Too much pull and you're passive or hard to read. When you know how to flow between the two, you become electric. You initiate when needed. You receive when it's time. And you lead and you listen. You pursue and you attract. You stop chasing love and start drawing in people who match your energy. And here's the truth. You were never meant to be just one thing. You're not just a pusher. You're not just a seducer. You're both. You're fire and water, direction and depth, action and surrender. And when you finally embrace your feminine energy, not as weakness, but as magnetic power, you become unstoppable. You become magnetic as fuck. If you're ready to learn this, embody this, and attract the kind of love that's drawn to your energy, I invite you to work with me. Click the link. Your magnetism is waiting to be unleashed. Until next time, this has been reminding you that your presence is your power and your energy is your edge.